Before we continue, I'd just like to set the stage a little bit by starting with the topic we're going to talk about, giving a little bit of context and also giving some time to our panelists to introduce themselves for a quick one. Yeah. So today, the topic of the panel is really about mobile first design is the only strategy that will work in 2020, and why and how this should be a priority of the year. Now, just to put it in context, mobile first design is simply a design philosophy that aims to create better experiences for users by starting the design process from the smallest screens. We used to do this from the desktop size because this is where the web started. And then the shift in paradigm by starting the design process starting from the smaller screen actually give more considerations and priority to the mobile users. This also means to say designing and prototyping for your website and for your mobile devices helps you to ensure that your users' experience are seamless on any devices. Yeah. Now, before we go on further, I'll probably just pass the floor to the panelists, starting with Yan to give an introduction about yourself so the audience get to know about you a little bit.
Sure, no problem. Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well. What an exciting day. So a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Czech Republic. I work and live in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. I currently lead the design team in Accenture Interactive in Malaysia. And the nature of our work, what we do in consultancy is we usually provide design solutions for another enterprises for B2B, B2C space. And COVID changed a lot of things as well for us, because right now we are actually doing more projects globally out of KL and regionally, even beyond Malaysia itself. So I lead a design team in KL, which consists of researchers, visual designers, interaction designers, creative technologists to basically, design experience solutions. And that can be almost anything at the moment. It can be about web and mobile apps, it can be about data visualizations, it can be about websites, it can even be beyond digital, maybe like things like space design, something which is happening in a physical world, more related to customer experience. Obviously, now we can mention as example, like, experiences and apps which don't need touch, for example. So there's a huge variety of clients and diversity of different problems that we are trying to solve every day with my team.
Great. That sounds like a very fun job to do. Yeah. So let us pass the stage to Juliana from Microsoft Indonesia.
Okay, hello everyone. So I'm Juliana. I'm the Senior Partner Development Manager for Microsoft Indonesia. So I'm not the engineering side, not in the engineering side, so more in the channel side. So I think I've been in Microsoft for around three and a half years. And before that, I was 12 years in ASUS, growing the notebook business at the time and the smartphone business. Yeah, I think that's all about me. I think I can pass back to Finley.
Yeah, just one thing to add on for Juliana, she has very interesting past records, particularly with ASUS. Remember her growing the notebook business from 1.5% market share in 2008 and eventually become 51.7% of the market share by 2016. That's impressive achievement for sure.
Thank you.
Right. So we wanted to also pass the floor to Dato Winscape, the founder and CEO of One Ping Group.
Hello. Now can you hear me better?
Very good.
That's good. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, yeah, just a quick introduction about myself. So my name is Dato Wins. It's a One Ping Group of founder. Okay, basically we are mainly doing for IT solution related. We do customized software, especially mobile app, and also full set of solution from front end to back end. So we target for corporates like Shangri-La, Hubsing Star, Macy's, and etc. So we do from requirement study, do the design, and build the development based on their ideas. Then we come out and implement them. So during the MCO time, now it's CMCO time, we also change a lot of strategy and we target for a lot of SME, and we come out a lot of small, medium kind of package, very valuable, very cheap, especially with the web and mobile responsive web and social media. So we help a lot of SME from their traditional business change change to online business, and a lot of good testimonial that I saw people growing and growing. Then this is a great success that we saw it. Thank you so much.
Great, great. Thank you, Dato. That's inspiring to hear. So before we bring on the further questions, right, I just wanted to also point out that the reason that we are doing this is also to understand why mobile first become a very important design philosophy. And it has always largely been due to the market force, and because the mobile users is simply getting more and more over the years in various countries, particularly in Southeast Asia, and also some very interesting countries. I just want to share some numbers. For example, in Nigeria, about 73, so nearly to 74% of the market of the traffic, internet traffic, actually comes from mobile devices. And at the global level, at the worldwide level, we are running at about 51% on average, sometimes up to 53, depending the month of the year. So this has become a driving force for many of the product designer to think of their product from the perspective of mobile first. One of the reasons also, one of the factors could also be because of the age medium of the populations in these markets. For example, the globally #1 mobile traffic country, Nigeria itself, the population age median is actually at 18.1, and that's a very young market to be at. And then comparatively, for those in Indonesia, it's at 64% of the mobile traffic, where the population age median is at about 29 to 38%. And of course, the other data also suggests the coefficient, although it may not be entirely. But let's just take it. The main reason that mobile first is important today is because we are heading more and more mobile traffic today. And then also younger generation are getting more accustomed to the mobile devices. Yeah. So now I'd just like to open the first question to the floor is because we come from a very diverse background. All of you, we have from Microsoft, we have from consulting firm, and we have from a digital IT firm. So I just like to throw the questions to the floor. Is that how widely is the mobile first approach is being adopted in your organizations at current pace or current timing? Anyone want to take the question, please?
Yeah, I think I can. Oh yeah.
Okay. Go, Juliana.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go, Juliana.
Okay, I think for Microsoft, right, actually we talk about cloud first, mobile first has been like 4 or 5 years ago. So right now we are talking about cloud computing, edge computing, but somehow, yeah, we see that Indonesia, we are maybe still, you know, some of the companies, they already go to the cloud computing or edge computing, but a lot of companies still in the mobile first, right, in that stage. And we see that if you see right now, like Microsoft also have many solutions that enable people to, you know, easily connect through the mobile, right? If, for example, if we are talking about the first liner workers, right? In the past, maybe everything's SOP, all the information we need to pass through by the paper. But right now, with a lot of smartphone business in Indonesia, a lot of users with the smartphone, actually, we need to make sure that all the solution can be in the mobile as well. So this is what we see. But in terms of Microsoft, actually, we're already ahead. But we see country-wise, Indonesia, we still have a huge opportunity for the mobile first. Pin, I think you are mute.
Yeah, sorry, I just noticed that. So Yen, just now you have something to add in the topic, the questions?
Yeah, sure. I mean, from my perspective, working in consultancy, we work with a big range of clients, right? You can imagine, you know, that you can have utility companies, huge banks, oil and gas companies, and they need various B2C and B2B solutions. And with our clients, really, it's about, you know, what is the business objective that I need to achieve? So for example, when we are working with large banks, obviously mobile apps and responsive websites are extremely important because that's the only way how you can reach a widest possible audience in Southeast Asia, especially in countries like Malaysia and Indonesia. And mobile first design is totally essential for all the work that we do, only except some solutions that actually are mostly internal in B2B space, where, for example, you have things like data visualizations, which are consumed by people only on laptops. So for example, those kind of a specific type of projects, we don't really design mobile first because 95% of people consume them in office on a laptop. But I would say any other type of work, mobile first is for a couple of years already a complete staple in how do we approach design for almost all of our clients. And I must say that lately the huge focus was on native mobile apps because they allow us to take an advantage of these new fantastic devices that everyone have, even though responsive website design is still largely important for a huge range of clients, but mostly big companies are using them for information showcase for people. But let's say banking and other essential services right now in Malaysia, for example, are largely operated by native mobile apps, especially for big companies, because it allows, I would say, like a closer connection to your users or consumers overall. You know, like you can have, you know, GPS, notification, all of that allows you to really be close to your consumers, you know, as a business.
Right, that's interesting. So that means to say by majority of the products that is being developed or being consulted are already coming from the mobile first approach, right? Yeah. So how about from the engineering standpoint or the software development standpoint, Dato Wins, maybe you can shed some light with us?
Yes, great. Okay, mobile first design actually in the market is quite some times already. Okay, especially due to corporate and B2B and B2C. Okay, so we build for a lot of big corporate. Their first approach is go for mobile first design. Okay, normally when we start the development, also we will build the whole UI design first. Okay, we not so say about prototype. Okay, it's more on design, the whole flow design, how it work, how it flow. When you click this button, we'll go to where. So we will make all the design first before we do developments. So once the design approved, then only we'll proceed for the development and speed up the things. So this can get client have a very overall grant and also know how it work, and also better discussion in terms of requirement study also. Okay, but nevertheless, right, the mobile responsive web also, okay, especially SME, okay, all our web and all our system design, especially for SME, they can't afford for the big mobile app kind of things because the budget will be higher. Okay, so we at least we got build the mobile responsive for them. So the all kind of web developments, all kind of e-commerce development, etc. So at least we'll go for mobile responsive, and also they can help them to see easily through the mobile app. So anyhow, the mobile first design is normally the first choice if they have a budget, especially due to the big corporate, because they're totally different kind of look and feel and also user experience.
Right, right. So when you mentioned mobile responsive, you actually mean to say it's still like the traditional responsive, where when we first started doing responsive website, we started from the desktop size and then we try to scale it nicely in mobile devices. And then but that means to say, although it's adapt nicely in user interface of mobile devices, it does not consider the experience of the users. For example, some of the website will have big panels of 8 cards on one section, and then the second section have big panels with 8 cards. And then when you simply just try to wrap it up into a mobile devices, you probably have a long list of 8 cards to scroll before you can go on to the next section. So that becomes very counterintuitive for the users. So when we talk about mobile first design, we think about designing the whole interface, the prototyping from the area of mobile first, right? So interesting that all our topic currently revolve around the user interface perspective. Now, is there any other components that it should be considerations of the mobile first design, things like speed and any other things? Maybe Dato, it makes sense for you to share with us.
Okay, definitely. Okay, if you go for mobile first design, right, the speed definitely will be more easy to scale up. Okay, and it can be more faster. In terms of layout design, we're more focusing on the major contents, major elements that to represent in the mobiles. Okay, which one needs to go first and which one have to be highlighted at the center, and also how to make the navigation and the menu button look more better, nicely, or bigger or smaller. Okay, in terms of speed control, there also can be, because when you go to the web, right, they will load all the web page first, so it will be slower, and they have to load all the images come out first, only display out. Okay, if the mobile is responsive. If you go for the mobile first app design, so they will look wherever when necessary only. And sometimes some of the picture that can be built into the app. Okay, they can be hybrid, can be native, can be built into the app. So they will make the things faster, even sometimes no internet connection. For example, like Facebook. Okay, if you go Facebook, even no internet connection, sometimes you still can see some of the picture, and maybe some caching is still there. So if you go fully web responsive, they may have this kind of they have totally different kind of experience.
Right, right. So there are definitely interesting advanced techniques like progressive web applications, PWAs for current websites that can help to mitigate concerns like this, issues like this, like allowing the web applications to work at bad internet connections, also allowing the pages to be load faster. But other than this, right, do you any of your team, maybe from Yan or Juliana, any of the teams during the development of a products from the mobile first approach, are there any sort of common challenges that you guys would probably run into?
Could I?
Yes, please.
Sure.
Right,
so I can speak from my point of view, from a design perspective, from user experience perspective, right? I think that the tricky part about designing with a mobile first philosophy in your mind is that mobile is a small screen, right? It's most likely the hardest device which to design for, and meaning that the mobile is such a small device. What you need to do from a design perspective is that you have to absolutely do in the right way the core essentials of your design. Meaning that basically what you have to do is to make it extremely simple. You have to think about people who even have very old phones and small screens, because not everyone has new fancy iPhones and Huawei and all the other brands. You know, like in Malaysia, for example, the most used phone is still iPhone 6. So your design needs to really cater well for the most basic devices up to the new, most modern ones. And what it means for you as a designer, when you coming up with a design for product or service, is that you have to completely focus on content, because mobile first really means content first. And what is not relevant for the user, you have to remove it, because it would only clutter your design and clutter the experience. And I think when I think about the work that we do, you know, there is a huge value in design research, because first you have to completely understand what your consumer, what a user needs and what is relevant for them. So you can define the core content, the core structure of your design. Because on your mobile phone, everything needs to be very straightforward. You know, people are very quick to react. If it's something like a bit clunky or it doesn't work, they leave right away and they will never come back, right? So the content your users want to see, you have to design it in a way that they can see it as a first thing. They have to see it up front. You have to make it very simple to navigate. If your information architecture is complicated and they will be lost in your design easily, it will be basically very confusing and not very good UX in a sense. So the interaction design for your product or service needs to be very simple to understand. And I think, you know, a lot of people using, for example, hamburger menus, but it actually makes your design more complicated to use, because you are hiding the information which is in the menu itself. So I think one of the biggest problems is that you're hiding a lot of content, and on mobile phone, you don't have things like mouse over, you have a very limited real estate on a screen. So you have to design the essentials right in the beginning. So then eventually later you can scale to big screens. So if I summarize, you know, mobile first really means content first. Really understand what kind of a content your users need to see once they come to your website, once they come to the app. Second one is Navigation, make it extremely simple, because that can make or break the design completely. Don't hide any information, because it's really difficult for users to find it. And great mobile design is simple. So basically what it means for me, you know, everything that doesn't have any purpose, you just remove it, you know, because otherwise it will only clutter your design, and people only are interested in those relevant pieces of content they are on the website for, you know, in a nutshell.
Right. So in a nutshell, it's a lot to do with less, more, and content first.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
And obviously, the last thing maybe, sorry, speed is completely essential. And designers have this sort of a problem a lot of times where they're using like these fancy big pictures, high resolution animations and things like that. In a region like Southeast Asia, this is a horrible idea, because you want to make loading speeds, you know, as fast as possible. So optimize pictures well, you know, smaller size the better, because once you make people wait, most likely they will leave before the website even loads. So I think, you know, especially a lot of designers want to showcase like all these fancy high def pictures and animations, but actually this is not good for the overall experience of the design. So I would rather keep it simple, you know, very low bandwidth, and the speed is more important actually than sometimes the size of the pictures, for example.
Great insights. Thanks, Ian. From the Microsoft product standpoint, Juliana, are you guys also subscribing to pretty much the same idea?
Yeah, I think it's. I think Ian already covered almost all. So I think I end up only, it's okay. So I only end up in Microsoft. We also care so much about accessibility, right, for the people who are disabled. So I think it's very important also in the mobile first design. For Microsoft, we also make sure that the people with disability, they can also access it easily. For example, with text to speech, speech to text, or from the picture to table, and this is also available in our solution on the mobile, like Office Mobile. Yeah, I think it's only add up on what Ian already covered almost everything.
Oh, great. It looks like we are all of us pretty much heading in the same directions when it comes to mobile first design. Yeah. So now, having three of you guys are really coming from vast background. We have from consulting firm, we have from Microsoft, and also we have from an engineering IT firms. Having gone through so many products from mobile first approach, is there any particular pro tips that we can quickly sum up and pass it to the audience, so the audience can have some takeaways for the sessions?
Yeah, maybe I start first.
Yes, that would be great.
Okay, great to know Microsoft and Accenture. I work with Microsoft and Accenture quite a lot. Okay. Okay, for the audience, right? Of course, if that's better, let's say they have the budget allowed, because in terms of doing the mobile first design, and even they want to display the content, right? So normally I would prefer to go for mobile first design, especially the full end solutions. Okay, so in terms of user experience, the content look and feel, and the experience for the buyer and user, and especially management, they want to see some content like chart analysis, kind of things. They're using mobile first design that is excellent for them. So in terms of work operations, they also can use kind of mobile first design. The key in, the type in, the process is more simplified and also more easy to attract people. So this is my first choice if let's say prefer. So but if let's say, because some people they want to go for a simple one, especially SME, we deal with big corporate, okay, Shangri-La, all these people, they are using mobile first design, definitely no issue. Okay, of course we deal with small corporate also, a small SME, especially freelancer, and during this COVID time, a lot of traditional business, they want to change to online. So let's say we talk about too high-end technology, they also cannot accept. We talk about 5G, AI, all these big data, they will not understand what is that. They want to straightforward say, at least I have a website, at least I have a mobile responsive, at least I have a tablet responsive. Let's say I don't have a PC, I don't have laptop. So I also can see my things clearly, nicely represent to my buyer and client. So at least that one is more reasonable price, and also they can more afford and they are more understand. So because if you talk to them about mobile first design, they will question, what is that? Why we need that? So you have to explain too much, and talk about budget. Maybe say, this is too huge. I don't need to make so difficult. I just want to online only because I'm doing traditional business. So you have to target because we target them also. So we have to expand them to the another way of talking, mobile responsive, okay, your tablet responsive, and also you put your product in too messy, at least a piece, okay. You are too messy, okay, there will people do like to see it, their first time impression already lost, okay. So this kind of thing. So
Great.
then if you want to show chart or analysis performance, then go for mobile first design. There will another kind of different feel.
Awesome. So if I may, from the key takeaway I get from Dato myself is that basically, if it will be great to have all the advanced stuff, but at the bare minimum, start your digital assets from mobile first. If you have other constraints like financial constraints and also other constraints, and the least you can do is to have a mobile first digital assets like a website, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Juliana, do you have any quick pro tips before we move on to the next questions?
I think for me is if in terms of the design, then very important that we need to see based on the user experience, right? Because not just by the engineering, to create the layout and the design, but need to see what is the user experience perspective. I think that's very important. And then second, I would like to say the opportunity for the mobile first is very huge, yeah, especially in the Southeast Asia countries. I think maybe we can discuss more, I think, later if we have time. But I see the opportunity is very big. We, definitely right now, for example, like Indonesia, I'm not sure other countries like Indonesia, I think is the number of people using smartphone is puluhan juta, yeah. So it's huge, right? It's millions. Really millions, and I think all the user already more, and I think the mobile user is like 350 million if I'm not mistaken. Actually, it's much bigger than the number of the residents in Indonesia, the citizens in Indonesia. So it means that one person might have two mobile. So it's very important for the company, like to really think through that if they have solution or they have any application, not just for the desktop but also for the mobile. I think it's very important. Yeah.
Great.
And,
So what I gathered so far from Juliana is really focused on the user experience other than just the user interface design, also other than the engineering, spend a lot more focus on user experience, and then you have a lot of opportunity if you actually approach from the mobile, you actually employ the mobile first approach. Yeah, Juliana?
Yes, right.
Yeah, thank you. Great. Yen, I'm sure you have something to share, quick pro tips, a few of them.
Sorry, yeah, I have one, and this one I really wanted to share with everyone, and I can see it a lot. So in Southeast Asia, a lot of companies who are designing and developing mobile applications and websites and different products and services are usually in cities, Bangkok, Jakarta, Kuala Lumpur, for example. But the users that you have, they are also in places like Sulawesi, Sumatra, North Thailand, Malaysian East Coast. So when doing design for mobile first products, don't only do research in cities, because people in urban areas, they have different mindset and different needs compared to people who live in a countryside, for example. So what I would like to advise everyone is that when you're doing a design research, or when you're testing your mobile app or a website, doing, for example, usability testing, go away from the city, go into places where, your users will be as well, but you might have a completely different results compared to people who live in the cities. Because eventually, let's say you're designing a mobile banking app, and you want all people in Indonesia to be able to use that mobile app, not only people who live in Jakarta, for example. So it's extremely important for the design team to reach out beyond the city level, same in Thailand and Malaysia, for example, and go explore and do the testing with people, you know, who might be like in 60s, for example, in a countryside somewhere, because they might end up having a smartphone that they will want to use for banking. And if your design is only, you know, tested and designed in a city, you might miss out on a lot of insights from people who are quite different, but you will need them as users eventually in the end.
Yeah.
And I think this is something like very important for me, because all countries in Southeast Asia are very diverse. You know, Malaysia has a Borneo part, you have a peninsula. Indonesia is completely different animal from this point of view, because you have just such a huge range of different kind of cultures and people, right? So you want your design to be able for all of them to use, not only for people who live, for example, in a city, you know. So I think that's something I feel that's going to be even more important, because the demography in Southeast Asia is so young, and you want your design to be able to be utilized, you know, in all places, because smartphones are relatively cheap, and you want people to be able to access your website or mobile app, you know, anywhere they are. And they might be grandma in 70s, they might be young teenagers somewhere. So I think this is something I wanted to highlight, because sometimes I see too many cases where you just talk to people in the city and you think that the design is going to be awesome for everyone, but it's usually not the case.
Yeah, great. So that means to say, focus on your audience, understand your audience spread, don't just focus on the easy part and the city part, right?
Yes. Yes.
Very cool, very cool. Now, speaking of which, right, I do have something that is relevant that I wanted to put onto the panels. Now, when we speak about audience, not everyone have great internet connectivity. Not everyone is living in the city, right? So this will result in two things. Number one, there will be cases that internet connectivity is flaky for many users. It's probably bad connections, and sometimes when they tap on the button and before they can move on to the next page, the page is dead because no connectivity. And second thing, also for the same reason, because some part of the world, some countries are really having more expensive data. That means, say, they have very limited bandwidth in terms of data bandwidth, internet bandwidth. So, is there any can be a different thing in different countries? Some of the countries can be rather expensive. So, when we talk about mobile first design, is there any special consideration we should wanted to give to the users? Can anyone like to take the questions?
Yeah, maybe I can start first.
Yeah,
Because this one will be related to technical a bit.
slightly
Okay.
more technical.
Yeah, slightly more technical. Okay. So we did experience and we do for client, right? Because some of the places, like you say, that maybe the bandwidth is not good, the internet is not good. Okay, what we do, we still proceed with the mobile first design, and mobile first design is the best one to control it, because they are not web, not totally web. They can be web, but not totally web. What we do, we can do offline. Okay, in the app itself, they actually have a database. It's called SQLite. So you can do all the catching, you can put all the folder images and also database into the app itself, the phone, tablet, phone or mobile phone and tablet itself. So we do do all these things before. Okay, and they still proceed everything as normal. So they wouldn't feel any internet connection activity before. Okay, just they cannot feel anything. But once they have connection, we can do the setting behind. So it's running on the background. So they will sync back to the cloud. So once they have internet, they every maybe 1 minute or 5 minutes, they can sync back all the information to the cloud. So this is to cater some of the places that is no internet connection activity, and they will not affect their daily immediate work.
Awesome, right? So we can use technology like service worker and with the local cache, local database to store this data and determine the network connectivity of the particular users. Interesting, right? So other things like say reductions of bandwidth. What are the things that we can do? Maybe from a design standpoint, do we actually consider serving a smaller size images, or reserve multiple size of images for different network connectivity?
Okay, maybe I also answer this is
Yeah,
also okay. Yeah, in terms of design, definitely. Okay. Because when you come to the mobile, different kind of mobile, because now a lot of phone they have different kind of resolution.
Right.
Okay. In terms of resolution, when we do the programming compilation, right, they actually we make it have 4 category. They are small, medium, high, and ×2 higher. Okay, actually to cater for the tablets and iPads. Okay, we can, based on the target audience, and what we have to mention, this application or this design is for mobile or for tablet or for iPad. So from there we can control the sizes. So if you want to reduce the sizes, of course the image sizes must be smaller, okay, but with high pixel, okay. But you can cater, there are two kinds of solution. One, you can put multiple sizes in app, okay. Then they have different sizes. They will detect the screen. They will open to different sizes, okay, to speed up the things and not run out of the pixel resolution. Okay, another way you can put a bigger sizes, and you detect the sizes. You make it smaller, compress it, make it smaller, or make it bigger. Okay, so this is
Right.
how you can adjust it in terms of programming there.
Yeah.
So
So
on
yeah.
the
So,
user point of view, they won't feel anything.
right. So from the layman terms, basically that means to say we can determine the user's connectivity, user speed, and also the situations to serve relevant type of content to them, either smaller size content or just showing text content without images and all that.
Yeah, everything can be solved. User never encounter it.
Very cool, very cool. So,
Uh,
I mean, this sounds like a lot of work to do if you are talking about from a mobile first approach in terms of product design, right? So, that seems to be, when it takes up more time, it also means to say it takes up more resources and hence the cost, right? So, how would, Ian, do you have any idea how would you actually try to balance this, resources, and also does it outweigh the benefits itself?
In terms of the quality of the connections that you have in the countries here, right? Like what is the balance between like the speed and the connection quality from a design standpoint, is it?
So it seems that if we're trying to do mobile first design, right, there seems to be a lot more work that is required from a traditional approach, right?
Oh yeah, okay.
So how are we going to try to balance the extra resources, extra costs, and also the benefits that we can get from it?
Look, I think that there's two ways how to look at it, and in 2010, Eric Schmidt, the Google from CEO, said that basically you have to use your best design teams for mobile apps and mobile websites. And I wouldn't necessarily say that it's more expensive to design mobile first. I think it's more about that you really need to put your best people into it, because I would say that is the most complex of philosophies of design that you can have for mobile first or for designing products and services. But I think that the business benefit is totally clear, right? Like we mentioned it in the beginning, like 52 billion people use internet connections in the world only through phones. It's going to be, in next 10 years, it's going to be 73%. So if you're not mobile, you don't exist. And when we're designing customer experience solutions in Southeast Asia, right? Like people are always on the move. If your brand is non-mobile, you don't exist for people. It's very simple and very harsh, but it's just how it is right now. You wanna increase your conversion rates, for example, because people are more likely, even when it comes to shopping and e-commerce, they are more likely to purchase products, and this comes from vast amount of data and research. So you want to increase your conversion rates with a good mobile first design if you run an e-commerce company, for example. And from a business perspective, is that you don't have to always do what Vince said in the beginning. You don't always have to do native mobile app first. You can start with a simple website. Before you're investing money and energy into native mobile applications, for example, you do a lot of testing, you do a lot of research, just to be sure that your design caters for the right audience, as I mentioned before as well. And it's gonna bring a lot of fruits and benefits to your business overall. And I think that Southeast Asia basically is a region, or almost a continent, or big region, where it has the biggest adoption of mobile phones in the world, I think. And the reason why is that laptops are expensive, smartphones are relatively cheap. In countries like Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia, everyone has a phone. Very few people has a laptop in a nutshell. And I think it's most likely the only way to go in the future for your business, to think like this from a design perspective. Because if you don't do that, then people will just go to the brand and to the companies that they will provide a better experience, and people have a huge amount of options right now. And basically they are very kind of spoiled in a way that they are spoiled by companies like Google, you know, Microsoft, yeah, Netflix. And if you're launching a brand, if you're launching a startup in Southeast Asia, you will be always compared to the top experiences, not to like average or anything. So people will benchmark your business compared to all the global brands. And if your design is just not up to par, they will leave you behind and you will ruin the first impression, and most likely they will never come back, which is another business. It's a huge business problem because, you know, acquisition of new users is actually more expensive than making your current consumer base happy. So I think once you ruin that, the first sort of a phase with that, you know, it's gonna be a big problem, and it can even make or break your company, because I think eventually in the future in this region, you know, it's gonna be more and more like this, you know, more people gonna have phones, and you wanna have good adoption rates for your design. So I don't know if I describe it like too long, but at least that's how I think about it in here and design, you know.
Yeah, so it seems like so long as you're focusing on building a good product, focusing on the experience itself, it should naturally outweigh itself in terms of organic benefits, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Juliana, how about say for
Yes, sir.
Microsoft? Microsoft has been doing a mobile first approach like since many years ago. Are you guys already seeing benefits that from the investment already?
Yeah, to be honest, the ROI part, I'm not very details about that part, but I was saying right now, if you see all our application, especially in Office 365, you can enjoy also in your mobile phone. And it's very important. I took example, I add up to what Jan just mentioned. For example, from the Microsoft perspective, PC in Indonesia is only 3 million. But for smartphone, it's around 50 or 60 million. It's 20 times more, right? So the opportunity is very huge. So we need to make sure that all our application can be accessed and can be enjoyed through the mobile phone. It's very important. And if we see, for example, like in Microsoft, we have Teams, Microsoft Teams, right? Actually, the usage is very high, especially like we mentioned earlier during the COVID, there is a good thing and bad thing, right? The good thing is the adoption become very high, right? Because a lot of people, you know, like they got online and then they maybe even they at home, maybe they access the, you know, the Microsoft Teams through their mobile phone as well, right? Or maybe through, and especially not just that, also we have Office Mobile also that also increased. So actually, if we see that the opportunity is super huge, right? Agree that what Jan mentioned, if we are not mobile first early, then I think we might gone one day, right? Because sooner or later, even before COVID, right? We actually a lot of time we check our emails, we check our presentation, everything's actually through our mobile phone, right? In the car, maybe somewhere in the house or in a cafe, not necessarily always have to open the PC, right? So I think yeah, if we see Microsoft getting more and more application on the mobile, definitely, and even we have the what we call as Power Platform that can make people, even not a programmer, can do, create an application, yeah, and easily to access through the mobile phone. Yeah.
Great, right. So basically, if you're not in mobile, eventually you will basically just lose out in the competition itself, right?
Yeah.
There's one more thing I just also like to take the opportunities to add on before we move on to the closing of it, is that so many of the traffics come from you know, search engine like Google, like Bing and others, and many of them, particularly in Google case, I can share that Google takes over 200 signals in ranking the results, and one of the signals is basically how mobile responsive you are, how quick your page is, and also this how quick your page loads. Yeah, these are all indicators to help that is basically helping the mobile users to get the best experience. So if you're not doing it, eventually you'll also be losing out in the search rankings, in the opportunity to reach out to your audience. Yeah. So I guess we are pretty much at the end of the sessions. I just wanted to maybe just open up the floor to for you guys to add on. Like Vince, now we talk about the business benefits and all that. So Dato Vince, if you have anything to add on before we close the sessions.
Okay, in terms of business benefits, right? Okay, because the audience can be a very big corporate here, okay, can be a very small SME, even some freelancers, okay, or maybe some newcomer traditional business want to explore to online and do not know what is online yet. Okay, I just general explain what is about mobile and also how you want to move to online. Okay, first of all, if you want to move your traditional business to online, of course, you at least have a website page with mobile responsive. Okay, how to do it mobile responsive, but you have to make it as a UI nicer. Okay, in terms of UI, you have to make it clean and nice and don't be too fancy and too messy. Okay, in terms of rating, right? Also, what we do actually, we do normally the overall performance must be more than 80 mark and above. So you can go Google search it. Okay, I want to check my website score. So there is a lot of kind of analysis and checking. Then you put in your website link. Then they can give you a score there. Okay, in terms of SEO, in terms of mobile responsive, in terms of performance, speed, hacking, and etc. So normally we will ensure our client more than 80 mark and above is in a good situation. Okay, so this is a first criteria. You have to move your web to your traditional business to a web first, at least. Okay, so next, if you want to make it more perform and more stand out versus to the globalization and also compete with other people, so of course you will move to the mobile. Okay, this one is a mobile responsive. Now at least you move to mobile first design. Okay, mobile first there can be a web app, can be a hybrid app, can be a native app. Okay, but in terms of user experience, this is different. Okay, they are more centralized. Your focus content, maybe your chart, your main elements, and also your main function that you want to represent it, to make user to attract it and will stand along with you. Okay, to make all the customer loyalty with your services, your product, and extra things. So you have to move to the mobile. Okay, so the next level you only talked about the bigger high-end like big data analysis, AI, and extra things. So I will leave it the topic later on. So at least you have to um, move yourself to online, explore the online market. Okay, at least a social media like Facebook. Okay, at least you have a social media. So to explore more all things to the online. So you will encounter a lot of news client, okay, and also a new opportunity and also a new exposure that you never encountered before during your traditional way of business. So we did a lot of success story and we did a lot of testimonial and good result that people ready to share to us and after they move to online. So this is different kind of feelings, the different kind of satisfaction that to a lot of small to big company.
Great. Thanks for sharing that, Vince. So looks like we don't have a lot of time left. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank Dato Vince for being here with us. Yan for sharing your great professional insights, and also Juliana, thank you for sharing all the experiences and also your know-how with us. So I'll probably just stop it here so we can move on to next session if there's any. Laurie?
No, this is actually the last session for today. And Yan, I know you have to dash off for a meeting, so if you'd like to go in and exit, just go right ahead. I'll wrap things up for you. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you very much. I would like to add only that I'm one of the speakers in the morning. So if everyone is interested in knowing more about design, please join tomorrow early, 9:40 a.m. for my session. And also, if anyone from the audience, I know that we've been cut. If you guys have any more specific questions, I pasted the link to my LinkedIn into the chat. Reach out to me. I'm happy to answer if you have any design specific questions, for your mobile first approaches for products or services in Southeast Asia. Thank you very much, guys. Been a pleasure.
All right. See you later.
Thank you, Vince.
And to everyone else, Juliana, Vin, and Dato. Vince, thank you so much for joining us here at Webfest Asia 2020. It was such a joy to have you here. I'm so sorry about the technical issue just now. Why don't you go ahead and leave your contact details in the chat box, and that way I think any of the attendees will just come back in if they'd like to contact you for any follow-ups or any questions, they can do that. But yeah, thank you so much for everything, and we'll see all of you soon. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Exabytes. Grow your business online.